welcome riding buddies. This week for my video, I want to have a look at how technology has changed over the years and how the technology has actually slowed down in the development of bikes. We've got here the 2021 KTM and we've got a 2017 KTM. We'll look at the differences between these two bikes. Ding's going to have a ride on them as well and tell us what he thinks about the differences of them. But also too, what I want to do then is I want to go back, have a look at the changes in the 70s, 80s and 90s. Over 4 years, you go from a 1974 CR125 Elsinore, which was really the big cracking motocross bike back in the day, through to 1978, and have a look at how much they changed. And also too, in the 80s, and we'll do the 90s. Just want to have a look. No disrespect to the modern bikes, that's for sure, because they're always being refined and the technology is amazing that's on them. But I want to see how slow it has developed in the last few years. Back in the 70s, they were releasing models every 6 months, not every year. So there's a big difference there. But we'll have a look and see what the differences are here.
So with the 2017 and the 2021 KTM sitting side by side, there is not a huge amount of visual difference. When you start looking at the brakes, yes, they look slightly different, but there's not that big a difference. Engines, not a great deal of difference there at all. When Ding went out and tested both these bikes, he did do them back to back. And he did say, yes, the 2021 KTM is a slightly better race bike, but not day and night. The brakes, not much there at all. Engine, a little bit more power out of the 21 model, but it's not as if the 17 model was slowed. But he did say the biggest difference was the suspension. If you've seen my other video about the 21 KTM, they did a lot of changes for 2021 in the suspension department. And from 2017 to 2021, there's been a lot of changes. And he did say that the suspension on the 21 model is better than the 2017. Everything else, yes, the bike's a little bit more refined, but it's not that much difference. Ding actually feels that he could go out on the 2017 and probably do nearly as quick a lap times on it as what he could do on the 21. So there's not that big a difference. It's more just the feel of the bike is just a little bit different. But at the end of the day, Ding was just having far too much fun no matter what bike he was on. And that's what it's all about. So now we'll do a little bit of a time walk back to 1974. Honda's little CR125 Elsinore has come out. When this thing hit the market back in 1974, it was a real game changer in the 125 class. Even today, this bike is one of the most iconic bikes of the 70s. You jump forward to 1978. You can physically see the differences between the two models. It's 4 years difference. The suspension travel is the big difference. In the 70s, it was all about suspension development. Also too, brakes were better. Engine, the increase in horsepower was absolutely amazing. Really, in the 1970s, if you weren't on the newest bike on the track, you weren't even in the race. It was changing that fast. You had companies such as Mako bringing out a 1974.5 just because of the suspension changes. KTM did the same thing. They had their 1974.5. Yamaha, of course, had that revolutionary YZ125X, which was a weird one-off half-inch model as well. So in 1970s, things were changing so much in every aspect of the bike, and every year was a big difference. So we'll move forward now to the 1980s. The suspension revolution was still happening, but now we were sort of pretty much set on the length of travel. It was just the designs were all changing. In the early 1980s, we had the introduction of water cooling. Then we had the introduction of disc brakes. Then we had the introduction of rear disc brakes, upside down forks. So the 80s was still a lot of revolution happening. It was starting to slow down a little bit. Horsepower-wise, things were still increasing, but not to the extent it was back in the 1970s. So we wave goodbye to the 80s and we go into the 90s. The biggest changes in the 90s was in the fashion. Really, the 90s were just fine-tuning of the 80s bikes. We've already had double disc brakes, we've got water cooling, we've got power valves, we've got digital ignitions, everything is there. Through most of the 90s, all it did was fine-tune the technology that was already there until this bike. Yamaha's YZ400F was definitely not the first four-stroke motocross bike to be out there, but it's probably the bike that revolutionised motocross the biggest in the four-stroke category. Of course, Husqvarna, Husqvarna and KTM all had motocross four-strokes around for many, many years, but the YZ400 really set the standard for what was going to happen through the 2000s. So we now find ourselves in the 2000s. Of course, we all know what's happened through the 2000s with every manufacturer switching to the four-stroke motocross bikes. All the Japanese manufacturers, all the Euro manufacturers, all now have the four-stroke class. But also too, there's very few two-stroke manufacturers out there now. Really the only manufacturer is Yamaha in the Japanese bikes. It's more the Euro guys that are still building the two-strokes. The 2000s brought us the introduction of fuel injection with the Cannondale. Of course, all the four-strokes now are fuel injected. Even with the KTMs, Husqvarnas, Gas, they're all starting to go with fuel injected two-strokes even. So really, overall, the 2000s, there's been a lot of changes, but still not the changes that we had back in the 70s. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Go back through my playlist and you'll find a lot of other stuff as well. And we'll catch you next time.